Hello and welcome to our podcast.
Behind Closed Doors.
What a devastating year we've had, with COVID-19 taking our freedom and keeping us locked indoors for hours on end. But behind these doors, a huge issue has grown in magnitude. This is domestic abuse.
Figures revealed in the lockdown show that there have been a staggering increase in domestic abuse cases. More than 40,000 calls were made during the first 3 months of the COVID-19 restrictions, according to the National Domestic Abuse Helpline.
If you're looking for escape, help or even a break, we're going to discuss the issue of domestic abuse in the UK.
We're going to be talking about the ins and outs of how lockdown has affected the particular issue.
So guys, how would you say lockdown affected you?
I'd say I think my mental health went down a bit because obviously you're stuck indoors, couldn't get out, but I could still FaceTime people, I could still speak to people on text. It wasn't as bad as I guess other people have taken it.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same. I feel like other people have been affected a lot more than me. I just kind of saw it as a massive break, just to get myself together and figure out what I was going to do after lockdown. But obviously it was a bit hard with college and stuff.
Definitely.
Would you say that was just for the first lockdown, the first 6 months, or would you say that was for the other three?
I'd say that
that
was the first lockdown. The second lockdown was definitely harder because I feel like everyone felt like it was just getting to the point where you've had enough.
I know, it was like, are we going to go on another one? When's it going to end?
Yeah, it kind of felt like it was never ending.
Yeah.
And then that just everything in college just didn't seem important at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone lost motivation because
Definitely.
of it.
I feel like we should move on because we've got a caller coming up soon.
So we're going to give you some more information.
Across England and Wales, domestic abuse offences have risen steadily since entering lockdown procedures, says Express and Star.
The police recorded over 200,000 violence against the person offences flagged as domestic abuse rated between March and June 2020. This is when the first national lockdown hit. This made a 9% increase compared with the same period in 2019, as seen in reports from gov.uk.
We've been fortunate enough to be able to speak to Militia Fuller, the Deputy Manager of the Birmingham Crisis Centre, and hopefully we're all going to get a bit of insight on domestic abuse and what we can all do to be a little bit more informed, especially when knowing the signs. Hi Militia.
Hi Militia, thanks for getting in touch.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
So Militia, I'm just going to ask you a few questions if that's okay.
Not a problem, not a problem.
Being in lockdown, it spotted a huge increase in domestic abuse victims. What would your opinion be on this? Would you say the victims have suffered a lot more because they couldn't get out and they can't get out of their bad environment, safe place?
We don't collect data like that, so we can give you who come through us.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be able to answer that question at the moment. I'd have to get admin to get all the information up. So I couldn't answer how many people have been affected in terms of dealing with the corona. I can tell you how many people that we've had come through our helpline call. So there's no booking out, so you're in refuge literally 24/7. The stores weren't open, you couldn't do anything, you couldn't go anywhere, you weren't allowed to travel with more than 6 people or in large groups. So yes, it did affect them because we've got women in here with a mum plus 5, so she's 6 on her own. I mean, need that contact, they need that connection. They only have each other, obviously, and the staff, but when they can't get to their family. So the multiple lockdowns has been frustrating. In terms of their mental health and their well-being. However, as an organisation, as the staff and the teams that are here, we just work tirelessly with them. So we have an in-house nursery anyway. So with childcare, we just support where we can with childcare. If mum needs a few moments just to have a break or a breather, then we'll support them in that respect. If the children need a break from the parents, we'll support them in that respect because the children are affected by it as well. Not going to school, not seeing their friends, being stuck in the house. So it's been difficult, and then in refuge we have a large playground, large outside space. We had our roof done as well, which was planned for corona. So imagine the playground was out of bounds because the scaffolding was up. And it was just a really difficult time. It was a difficult time, and my thoughts towards lockdown is that we have to keep everybody safe. We have 24 units in here. And we can put up to 24 mothers at a time. And endless amounts of children, because our largest room sleeps 5 children and our smallest room sleeps 1. So it's managing all of that during Corona and trying to keep everybody safe while adhering to the guidelines and still thinking about people's mental health. It's challenging, but it's got to be a million. That sounds amazing, but nobody's seeing the pennies from it. So I don't know. There's a lot more that can be done for domestic abuse, I think. I'd start with the courts, the schools, social services and the police. So if the government are going to take any action, those are the umbrellas that needs to go under. I think the police need to understand a lot more. The schools do, social services do. Because it's not just about a woman putting a child in danger. It's the emotional stuff that goes with it as well.
So when we think of domestic abuse, we usually think of women, don't we? Like, it's just automatic stereotypes. But this is very obvious that it happens to males as well, but it's very unheard of.
Not seen as a big problem.
Yeah, it's not really in like the news or anything as much as women, is it?
So we was just wondering, do you ever get any male-related cases?
Men don't tend to report domestic abuse or believe that it's happening to them, or it's quite a shameful thing for a man who the world deems as this strong, big, burly guy that's been attacked by what the world would deem as this little woman. But it's not always physical. There's the mental, the emotional, the financial, the gaslighting. There's lots of other aspects to abuse. So it's not just a physical thing. So men do go through abuse. I don't think the statistics reflect the truth. A lot of men who do experience these things won't openly say. So, I mean, there are stats. I think it's the National Domestic Abuse website. You can grab stats from for England and Wales. And they'll give. I'm not sure how up to date they are. I think my last check was 2019. I think they've done the stats for 2018 to 2019. So you may be able to look on there for some statistics. They might be able to give you some guidance. But in terms of us ourselves, I wouldn't be able to give you stats of how many men we deal with. But they do come through.
Moving on from that, do you think that the government have done enough? Like, have they raised enough awareness on domestic abuse, given how much of a problem it's been, like, since going into lockdown? Do you think the government have done enough? Especially with stuff like the NHS has been through a lot this year.
Yeah, definitely.
And I feel like they've been somewhat supported for the obvious needs, but like there are smaller things like this that to some people are really big. It really hits home. Yeah,
because I do see in the news how like the government have put money into domestic abuse, like charities, but I don't see it as often as, like, let's say how much money they put in the NHS.
Yeah, especially at this time, it's very like it's very real and like it needs attention.
What do you think, Melissa?
Okay, the multiple lockdowns have, because the government guidelines have not been as clear as we would like. So I understand they give a generic guidelines and we follow that to as much as we can. But obviously we have to think that we've got women in here. So number one, our doors have always been open. So no, Corona didn't stop. Corona didn't stop DV. Corona didn't stop the women coming into refuge. All throughout Corona, our doors were open and our lines were active. The lockdowns have had a big effect on the women. Their mental health being the one, I think, the highest. I think about the most, the fact that they're unable to, they've had to leave their homes anyway, had to leave their family, friends, everything they're used to, come into refuge, which is hard on its own, and then to be in a situation where you're stuck in this place, so you can't go out and spend, because we allowed women to book out 2 nights a week to stay with a family member or someone that's safe.
Melissa, thank you so much for taking the time to speak to us, and thank you so much for being in our podcast.
Thanks, Melissa. Bye.
Yeah, not a problem.
Your friend,
your neighbour,
your colleague,
the person you walk past in the street.
None of us know what happens behind closed doors.
Help us to learn the signs of domestic abuse. So
Birmingham and Solihull Women's Aid, dial 0121 685 8687. Get help now.
www.nationalhelpline.org.uk.
You can go to www.birmingham.gov.uk.
For male victims of domestic abuse, please call 01 823 334244 or go to www.mankind.org.uk.